If you're struggling to get your workouts in consistently, you are missing at least one of three things. And in this week's episode of the Exercises Health Podcast, we want to explain what those three things are. We're going to cue our introduction and dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Exercises Health Podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg. We're your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we are discussing the three musts that you need to have in place to get your workouts in consistently. But we want to let you know if you want to start taking action on what we're talking about today. It's exactly what we can help you with at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com. Click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. All right, look, working out consistently, a few weeks back, we talked about it as like the biggest indicator or determinant of your success with your workouts. And so if you listened to that episode and you were left with the question of like, all right, well, how do I go about working out consistently? Because I have the intention to work out. I have the desire to work out. I know I need to be working out, but I just don't get it done. You are not alone. In fact, most people are in that boat who want to be working out, but they're like, I just don't, like, I'm not able to do it consistently. Life gets in the way, work, kids, social commitment, whatever it is, whatever you have going on, okay? There are three musts that need to be in place in order for you to actually get your workouts in. That's what we want to cover with you today.
You're right, Charlie. And these three things, if you add them to like your workout like requirements, like I know I need to hit these three things, then that's really the first step in making sure your workouts work for you, because it makes it so that you can be consistent. The very first thing you have to wrap your head around is that your workouts must be scheduled. The number one thing that people think is going to happen and never happens is that you will work out when you have time. And so I don't know of really anyone that's like, what am I doing during the day? Nothing. I guess I'll just work out today, I guess on the rare weekend or a vacation day or something or whatever that might happen, but that doesn't allow you to be consistent with it. So your workouts have to be scheduled. The schedule of the workouts has to carry weight, just like anything else in your day, like a doctor's appointment or an appointment, at work or your work hours. You have to have a scheduled time for your workout. We kind of also like to break this down into like two interesting ways of scheduling. The first being something that is literally put into your schedule, like you write it in like, oh, doctor's appointment at 3, workout at 4, dinner at 5. That's how it kind of goes. And then the other way you can schedule is I always work out after I finish breakfast, right? So it's always like it piggybacks off of something, or it goes right before something. So it's tagged on to something in your day. So I used to have a lot of clients that would come to the gym right after work because they didn't want to sit in rush hour traffic. So for them, it was always, I go to work out right after I get off of work. I go from work to a workout. So there's kind of two ways to think about it, whether it's like time blocked or if it's like post-event blocked.
Exactly. Now, a lot of people feel resistant to this, but I tell you what, the number one thing that if you're struggling to get your workouts in that you can do to actually get them in consistently is to schedule your workouts, all right? And truth of the matter is that even though it can feel like, oh, right now at this moment, like I don't have time to work out, if you put your workouts in your schedule, now all of a sudden you have created time to work out. And that's a really big deal. And so taking this first step of scheduling your workouts is the number one thing, hands down, that you can do to get them in consistently. And as Julie was saying, there's a couple ways that we think about scheduling. We think about it as either a rock in your schedule of like, okay, every Tuesday at 1 p.m., I'm going to, go to the gym and that's where I'm going to get my workout in. So it's there, and then you're scheduling everything else around it because your workout is a rock in your schedule. A lot of other people will use it as like what we call a filler in your schedule, okay? Which means you look at your week in advance and be like, oh, well, I have a gap here and a gap there and some time there, so I'm going to fill in that time with my workout. Truth be told, is the way that most people are able to consistently work out is when they make it a rock, okay? If you're making it, if you are using kind of filler type scheduling, then it's really easy to feel like, oh, I don't have time. See, I don't have any gaps to fill in, so then I can't work out. Versus if you just make it a rock in your schedule of like, okay, I'm going to work out at this time in the morning, I'm going to work out this time in the evening, and that's your thing, then it becomes much easier to get your workouts in consistently. Another thing that I feel like not enough people take advantage of, feel like, well, work is too busy. Use your weekends. Use your time on the weekends to go to the gym, whether it's a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, whenever it is. But like, get at least one workout in on the weekends when you don't have work. And then, now okay, at least, this one day a week, I'm guaranteed to get a workout in. So number one thing that you must do if you're not getting your workouts in consistently, in order to get them in consistently, is to schedule your workouts. Number two is your workouts must be convenient, okay? Whether it's the location that you're going or, the equipment that whatever it is, okay? The whole thing has to be convenient. So for some people, convenience looks like working out in their basement because they don't need to leave their home. For other people, convenience looks like stopping at the gym either on their way to work or, as Julie was saying, on their way home from work. All right, it's in the route of the way their day is naturally progressing. Okay, naturally flowing. So they're not having to change much as far as their course of travel. It's just on their way home or on their way to the office, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it has to be convenient, because the more convenient it is, the more likely it is that you're able to get it done. I mean, that's just common sense, right? And so doing everything that you can to make your workout opportunity as convenient as possible is a really big deal when you're trying to get your workouts in consistently.
That's right. And this one does not go in like, it doesn't slash out the first one, right? So these are like building on itself. So like they have to be scheduled. It has to be convenient. More often than not, when we find that people have to really go out of their way, or, we hear the stories of like, well, I can't work out because it becomes a 4-hour experience. I'm like, what? In what world is it a 4-hour experience except if you're like a professional athlete? You are not a professional athlete. What's going on? And so making it convenient for you while still being effective is really, really important. I remember when I first moved here to the Schaumburg area, which is a suburb of Chicago, I thought it was like so amazing that like I could go downtown and take like an actual adult advanced tap class. And I remember doing that a handful of weeks, or a handful of, a chunk of time. And then it was just crazy because in my head, I was like, wow, this is such a great opportunity. I didn't have this in Florida. This doesn't exist. And now I can do this. But it was always, an hour to get there or more, an hour and a half to get there, an hour class, an hour and a half to get back in the middle of the workday. Plus, I'm a suburban person, so, then I'm paying for parking downtown. It was just like literally so inconvenient for me to even get to the tap class. So I would have had to value that. I did love it for a while, but I would have had to value that tap class at such a high level, right, to keep up that type of commitment. And I'm not saying that people don't value their workouts at that high of a level. You definitely could, and then you could do the really inconvenient thing, but most people don't, right? And most people, it's just gotta be in the flow of your day. So making it a part of your commute in or out of, work. Maybe it's somewhere close to your home, or maybe it's just close enough. Convenient is really a relative word. And so making sure that it feels like, okay, this is doable, not like, okay, I guess this could work for a small amount of time, because the amount of time and the length of time that you need to be working out is not a small amount of time. You need to be able to feel like I could just really repeat this. This is totally doable in my schedule.
That's exactly right. Now, must number 3 is your workouts must be planned. Okay, this is a really big piece of the whole puzzle, because if you are like, okay, I'm gonna work out at 3 p.m. on Monday, great, and the gym's gonna be on my way home, fantastic. You get to the gym, it's 3:05, like you are on the workout floor, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna scroll my phone for a little bit, maybe I'll walk on the treadmill a little bit, and then scroll my phone a little bit more. Oh, I need to add some new songs to my playlist, and all right, well, I guess I'll go do this machine, and maybe that. It's like You might get something in, but the likelihood that you're like the next Monday at 3, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do that thing. It just gets lower and lower and lower with each passing week. Because you're showing up and you don't have a plan. You don't know, okay, this is what I'm gonna do for my warm up, then this is what I'm gonna do for my first exercise, my second exercise, my third exercise, all the way through. You are having to burn more calories mentally once you get there, in order to like make these decisions of what it is you're going to do at that moment. Make it so easy for yourself, okay? Make those decisions before you get there. So you know where you're working out, you know when you're working out, and you know what you're going to do when you get there. So literally all you have to do is throw on your clothes, go to the place at the time that you've already designated that this is when I'm going to go do it, and it's already decided for you as far as what you're going to do. It becomes so much easier to get your workout in then when you have it all planned out of like, this is exactly what I'm going to do.
Now, the one caveat to this that a lot of people never give themselves permission to do is to have someone plan it for them, right? So many of my clients, they knock out all three of these because they work with me. And so many people feel like, well, I could do it alone, so I should be doing it alone, and like, whatever. So much of being consistent with exercise is scheduling. And if you have like a personal trainer or you're working and you're doing your MAT or whatever, it's going to be scheduled because the practitioner is going to need to know when you're going to come, right? And the amount of people that come in and say, I definitely would not be working out today if this was not scheduled. That's amazing. I'm like, great. That means you're working out through the thick and the thin of life, right? Like on the easy days and the tough days, because there's always going to be really hard days to fit in your workout, whether it's with a trainer or not. And then with the planning of it, it's like nice when you can just show up and everything is planned for you. Then you're not having to think about what am I doing? What's appropriate for my body today? So that's a really great way. If you're like, every time I get to the gym, like I can get there, it's convenient. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's effective, or I'm not getting results, so it's not being effective, or I don't know how to do these exercises without injuring myself. That's a really good time to hire a planner, hire a personal trainer to help you figure out what you should be doing. And sometimes it means working with them all the time, right? It's not just like assigning a plan. But there's also other ways to get things planned out for you. Like, let's say you found like a workout gym that you like that has classes. That's a great way to have it be planned for you. But either way, it does need to be planned, whether it's being you're planning it or someone else is planning it, because that's kind of the worst. Is like showing up and being like, now what? I'm here, I feel silly, or, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what the programming is. But make sure it is planned so that once you arrive, get it done, you can get out of there.
Exactly. So there are 3 musts that need to be in place in order for you to work out consistently. Number 1, your workouts must be scheduled. You need to know the day and the time that you're going to be working out so nothing else gets in the way of you doing that. Number 2 is your workouts must be convenient, both from a location perspective and from like an equipment, what you're going to be using perspective. Because even if you're like, oh, I'm going to work out in my basement, but my workout bike is, under all these piles of clothes, and my dumbbells are somewhere, like I got to go find them and pull them out or whatever, like that's not convenient to do that, and certainly not on a consistent basis. So everything needs to be convenient, from where you're going to do it to what you're going to be using. And finally, your workouts need to be planned so you can show up and know exactly what you're going to do. So you need to know when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and what you're going to do. And you nail those 3 variables, it becomes so much easier to work out consistently. So if you feel like you are inconsistent with your workouts, make sure you nail those 3 variables, and it's almost a guarantee that you will be able to work out on a consistent basis when those 3 things are in place. Now, if you'd like our guidance in helping you with that, that's exactly what we can do for you at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We always appreciate your eyes on YouTube, your ears on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Wherever you consume our content, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review, it always means the world to us when you do. We are wishing you a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.